Okay, I thought I will discuss about the concept of balance in attitude change and also the cognitive dissonance. So here the concept of balance, the question will occur in either in the form of discuss the concept of balance, or it can occur as discuss a POX triangle. Right, so the POX triangle is basically the concept of balance. It was proposed by Fritz Heider, and cognitive dissonance was proposed by Leon Festinger. Right, so we will discuss these are the short answer questions. It can also come under the long answer, where you can give few other add on with a little examples and all. So what is the concept of balance in the attitude change? We have discussed in the video also. So here what is written, first I'll read it for you. The concept of balance was proposed by Fritz Heider. It was also described in the form of the POX triangle. PONX. So we will discuss what these basically are, which represents the relationships between the three aspects or components of the attitude. So what are the three aspects and components of an attitude are basically the P, O and X. Right, so I will describe what it is. P is the person whose attitude is being studied. Right, so this is a person whose attitude is being studied. X is the attitude object and O is another person. So this basically forms a triangle. O is another person and X is the topic being studied, that is the attitude object. Right, so this is the person whose attitude is being studied, and on that study we have to understand how to balance the attitude. Now I will give one example here. Further, what is written here is an attitude changes if there is a state of imbalance. So how the state of imbalance will occur, I'll explain that. Between the PO attitude, OX attitude and PX attitude. Because the imbalance is logically uncomfortable and that can lead to distress. Right? That can lead to distress also in long run. Therefore, the attitude changes in the direction of the balance. Right? The attitude has to be changed in the direction of the balance. Imbalance is found when all three sides of the POX triangle are negative or two sides are positive and one side is negative. Okay, so this is something that can become a little confusing. I'll give one example. Suppose there is an attitude object. So the attitude object is about suppose bullying. Right, so attitude object is bullying and P has a negative attitude towards the attitude object. Right, so if P has a negative attitude, but there is another person O who has a positive attitude towards attitude object, that is bullying, but also P has a positive attitude towards O. Now if you see this triangle POX, there is complete imbalance, that P is having a negative attitude towards the attitude object but having a positive attitude towards O who has a positive attitude towards the attitude object. So either this becomes a imbalance and this attitude needs to be changed. Now either this can be negative or this can be positive in order to bring in the change of the balance. So how can P have a negative attitude towards X and positive attitude towards O? Because O is having a positive attitude towards X. Right, so either P changes the attitude towards O or changes the attitude towards X. So this is what the concept of POX triangle is. Now if you read the last paragraph here, the attitude changes in the direction of the balance. Imbalance is found when all three sides of the POX are negative. Right, so if you see all the three sides P, O and X, if all are negative, then there is a imbalance, and or two sides are positive and one is negative. So if two sides are positive, like I mentioned here, if two sides are positive and one is negative, right, so there is an imbalance. So when you give example, you have to first identify the attitude object, mention about that, and then describe what is the P's attitude towards X, what is the P's attitude towards O, and then what is O's attitude towards X. So if you identify these three labeling, you will be able to understand this well. Now the balance occurs when all the three sides are positive or two sides are negative. So either all three sides are positive or two sides are negative and one is positive. Right? So this is what, two sides are negatives, right? So here these two can be either in this triangle it is apt, and in this triangle also. Try taking your own examples and try making your own PUX triangle. That will be better to make you understand. Now the second question is question number 14, that is discussing the cognitive dissonance component in the attitude. So here also it is about the attitude change, right? So when we talk about attitude change, one is the PUX triangle, the other is cognitive dissonance, right? So here we talk about the dissonance and the consonant, right? So here we are talking about the attitude change. Again we are talking about the attitude change because there is again an imbalance. This was proposed by Leon Festinger, because Festinger actually believed in the cognitive components of an attitude. So here he actually emphasized on the cognitive dissonance. Where there is cognitive dissonance, then there will be an imbalance. So cognitive dissonance was proposed by Festinger, Leon Festinger. It emphasizes you always have to give the name of the psychologist who has actually proposed the models, right? So Fritz Heider and Festinger. It emphasizes that the cognitive component of an attitude must be consonant, right? So consonant is the opposite of dissonance. I will explain that is they should be logically in line with each other. Like for example, if you believe in something, you have a certain belief and your actions are not in line with your beliefs, right? So your actions are not in line with your beliefs, then there is a cognitive dissonance. So I will give one example here. I have given that example in my video also. That one example can be where, suppose your cognition 1 says that you should be having healthy meals 5 days in a week, right? 5 days in a week, that is what your cognition 1 says, that in order to stay healthy you should be eating healthy meals 5 days in a week. But cognition 2 says that you are having junk meal every second day, right? So every second day you are having junk meal. So this is your cognition 1 and this is your cognition 2. So here this is your belief that this is how you should be eating. You should be eating healthy meal 5 days or 6 days in a week. But actually what is your action saying? That you are having junk food every second day. So here this gives result to cognitive dissonance, right? Because cognition 1 is not in line with cognition 2. So what we have to do here is to bring in the consonant. So either you change this cognition or you change this cognition in order to bring in the balance, because eventually this also leads to distress. This leads to mental distress, and that is basically noticeable through your performance or through your imbalance in the attitude, right? So Festinger and Carl Smith, two social psychologists, conducted an experiment that showed the working of cognitive dissonance. Both balance and cognitive dissonance are example of cognitive consistency. So when you actually bring in the consonant, that brings in the cognitive consistency. So these are the three vocabularies here: cognitive dissonance, then that is second is the consonant, and third is the cognitive consistency. You have to remember these 3 points and remember the names of the psychologists. These were the social psychologists, Festinger and Carl Smith. Now further, cognitive consistency means that two components, aspects or elements of an attitude, or you can also term it as beliefs, right, must be in the same direction. Each element should logically fall in line with other element. So here in this example, there is no logic that you are believing on something, cognition 1 is saying something, and actually your actions are saying something else. So they are logically not in line with each other. If this does not happen, then the person experiences a kind of mental discomfort that I said mentioned as distress. In such a state, some aspects in the attitude system changes in the direction of consistency. So when there is distress, right, or mental discomfort because of the dissonance, right? So what happens is the attitude system changes in the direction of consistency, that is called the cognitive consistency, that is the logical consistency, that becomes the consonant. So you can give your examples and define it accordingly.